Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People aren't honest. They're not honest. They'll say anything or do anything to get what they want. Like dogs. You know, man's best friend, the dog. So the dog is snookering the owner. The dog is looking with eyes of love at his owner. He'll do anything the master tells him for a cookie. A dog treat. Unfortunately, in this Kali Yuga, people are just like dogs. If you have something they want, they're your best friend. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And the person who has whatever it is the other one wants, oh, see how much they like me? Oh, they really like me. They don't like you. They want what you have. I'm talking materially. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You want to help somebody, you know? So you try to help them. That's not how you help people. The help is Krishna. Seems I have to learn the lesson over and over and over again to want to help somebody. A devotee. I want to help a devotee. Hare Krishna. Now, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Maybe that's for somebody else. That form a committee, you know, kind of like social work or community work or something. Help somebody. All right, so they take that as a service. Okay. It's all right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. But the real help is Krishna. Over and over again, same thing. Over and over again. Same lesson, same outcome. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes that's what it takes. You have to learn the same lesson over and over again. It's like you can't get past first grade till you get past first grade. Then you can go to second grade. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Even devotees, they don't mean to, I don't think. I think it's like they set out to lie. But they'll say anything, do anything to get what they want. For Krishna, of course. There's an old saying, a person is only as good as their word. It's been around a long time. I don't know where it comes from. Does it come from the Bible? I don't know. It's been around a long time. For a reason. It has the ring of truth. A person is only as good as their word. And if they can't control their mind or their senses, then their word is not going to be any good. They're going to lie. Hare Krishna, Krishna. They'll be fooling themselves, actually. They think they're telling the truth. I know one devotee who their philosophy is, I can see how they throughout their life, I can see this has been their philosophy. I don't know where they got it. Maybe the parents instilled it in them, or maybe it was a survival technique when they were little. I don't know. But the philosophy is, well, one thing leads to another. One thing leads to another. So they're kind of like oozing their way through life, oozing their way through the day. One thing leads to another. Like a dog going from one fire hydrant to another. One thing leads to another. Hare Krishna, everything leads to Krishna. Not one thing leads to another. No. Not here it doesn't. Hare Krishna, you come around here with that philosophy, one thing leads to another, and bye. Bye-bye. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. It's like the dog will do anything for a cookie. One thing leads to another. Dog's philosophy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Life after life. Birth after birth. One thing leads to another. Not here it doesn't. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. At first I thought, I have some dealings with this devotee and having to deal with them, but at first I thought that what it was about them was that they were like Mercury. You know, Mercury, It's a liquid metal in its natural state. It's poisonous, but it can be sitting there like a little ball on a table, and if you poke it, lots of little balls will all come out, and then you can push them all back together into the little ball again. First I thought, they're like mercury. But now I see, yeah, there is that quality, but it's more like a blob, an oozing blob, just like an oozing slime. One thing leads to another. Oh, Krishna! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So I'm going to read something. And read here from Srila Prabhupada, the pure vibration, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. So I've come in a little too close to the blob, and I absorb other people's stuff, So I've got this slime. I'm going to get this slime out of it. Krishna. Hare Krishna. Woo! Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada compared ISKCON and the temples to hospitals. So who's in a hospital? Really sick people. Very, very sick people will go to a hospital. That's ISKCON. There's a lot of sick people in ISKCON. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. That's just what it is. But what are they doing there? They're trying to get well. They're trying to get well. The doctors there may or may not be capable to whatever degree they're capable, but they're trying to administer the medicines and the therapies. But there's a lot of sick people that are trying to get well in ISKCON. Hare Krishna, Krishna. So we shouldn't be surprised at basically anything. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Chant, chant, chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. And the blobs won't get you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm being silly, but it is something I'm having to deal with. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, as well as my own stuff. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. It's enough to make you really, really chant, like you really need it. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Basically, everyone is pretty much lying. The only ones that aren't lying are the pure devotees. Everyone else, to one degree or another, is lying. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So really, nothing has changed. From when I first joined the movement, nothing's changed. It's still all the same. Just externally, it looks a little different. But the internal workings, nothing's changed. I get it when Prabhupada said that if out of this whole endeavor, this whole preaching effort, all these temples, and all these disciples, and all these books, if there can be one pure devotee, then the mission is a success. I totally get that. Totally get it. I'd love to be that pure devotee. But, hey, Hare Krishna. I got my stuff. Hey, Lance, Hare Krishna. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Guten Morgen. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hari 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 Krishna 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 Hari 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 Rama 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 Hari 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 Krishna 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 Hari 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 Rama 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 Hari 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna. I was just looking at some stuff like how actually everyone's lying. No one's really telling the truth. Everyone's lying. They don't even realize they are lying. They probably don't mean to. But they're lying. People aren't good at their word. They're just not good at their word because they can't control their mind or senses. So how can they be good at their word? Even devotees, disciples, they're trying. But to get what they want, they'll lie. For Krishna, of course. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So there's bold lies, there's little white lies, and then there's kind of an oozing tactic where you don't actually lie, you just, one thing leads to another to get what you want. It's the ooze technique. You snooker people, you snooker them to get what you want. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. There's probably other kinds of lies too. Maybe I'll do a little research on that. I'm sure there are other people that have taken an interest in the different types of lies, different types of untruths. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, 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 Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Krishna. That's no lie. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. That makes sense now. And you say that initially, if someone takes up the practice of chanting the Maha Mantra, it may seem a little bitter. You don't have much taste, and it's a chore. It's bitter. That's because they're accustomed to lying. So speaking the truth, it doesn't have a taste, because when they lie, they get the sense gratification that they want. Whatever type of lie it is, bold lie, white lie, oozing, creeping, snookering lie. So, when the tongue is telling the truth, they don't have a taste for it. It seems bitter. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. They still want to talk about so many other things. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, Prabhupada said it's like the tongue has jaundice from all this lying to get whatever it is they want, sense gratification, whatever it is, whatever type. The tongue develops a disease like jaundice. Well, the cure for jaundice is sugar. I don't know how that works, but that's the cure. And the symptom of jaundice, one of them is sugar tastes bitter. But if you keep taking the sugar, then the jaundice is cleared out and you can actually taste the sweetness, the disease is cured. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay, let's do a little Krishna book. This is kind of a technical, detailed part of Krishna book. It's Prabhupada's summary study of the 10th Canto, which is mostly pastimes. But this particular section is the prayers of the Vedas personified, and it's a very technical section. Evidently, in the original Sanskrit text, it's just a few verses, but Prabhupada, in doing a summary study, which is basically a huge purport, spends almost 40 pages on it. So, it's been a while since we looked at Krishna book. And its chapters started with Maharaj Parikshit asking, he says, Vedic knowledge generally deals with the subject matter of the three qualities of the material world. How then can it approach the subject matter of transcendence, which is beyond the approach of the three material modes? So the Vedas, those were the Vedas that Vyasadeva compiled. They dealt with what to do to practice to become more elevated, advance up out of the modes, through the modes, by practicing this and doing this kind of religious practice and that kind of ritual and this kind of ceremony and this fasting and that chanting, and for elevation up through the material modes. That's basically what the Vedas, and that's why after he finished doing that for the elevation of human society, he was feeling morose. It's like, I'm not satisfied with that. And that's when Narada encouraged him, the reason you don't feel very satisfied, even though you've done this tremendous work, the Vedas, is because you haven't directly glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Taking that instruction from Narada, Srila Vyasadeva then did it's called the natural commentary on the Vedas, and it's called Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's solely dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. So Maharaj Parikshit's question is, since the Vedas deal with the three modes of material nature, how can it approach the subject matter of transcendence, which is beyond the approach of the three modes? The mind is material, and the vibration of words is a material sound. How can the Vedic knowledge, expressing by material sound and material thoughts of the mind, approach transcendence? Description of a subject matter necessitates describing its source of emanation, its qualities and activities. Such description can be possible only by thinking with a material mind and vibrating material words. Brahman, or the Absolute Truth, has no material qualities. Our power of speaking does not go beyond the material qualities. How can Brahman, the Absolute Truth, be described? By your words. I do not see how it's possible to understand transcendence from such expressions of material sound. That's actually an agnostic, very similar to, because we're reading about agnosticism in, that's where Prabhupada came. He took up the mission of his spiritual master, and part of what he was going to defeat was the agnostics. And what agnosticism is the philosophy, and Prabhupada said he was influenced by it when he was in school. He was a young boy in school. A man came and made a presentation saying it's not possible, just like this question. It's not possible. Maybe that's why Prabhupada went into such detail here, as he had personal experience of having been confused as a child, a young boy, hearing this agnostic presentation that you cannot understand anything beyond matter. It's not possible because of material mind and senses and material language, material words. So it's not possible to understand anything beyond matter. That's the agnosticism. They don't say there isn't God. They don't say there is God. They just say there's no way to know. There's no way to know. That's the agnostic. So they're not exactly atheist. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. So then there's some discussion of what is beyond the material mind and senses. Is it impersonal, or is there consciousness there, person? So we were partway through the chapter, and I can't remember exactly everything that we discussed because it was a while ago. Hare Krishna. Oh, here's an interesting little paragraph. The living force is intelligent. One has to utilize his intelligence over the mind and the senses. When the mind and senses are purified by proper use of intelligence, then the conditioned soul is liberated. So the spiritual master acts as the intelligence for the disciple. He doesn't make him dependent, but to help wake up the disciple's own intelligence. The spiritual master externally acts as the intelligence for the disciple in helping awaken the disciple to his own intelligence. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So the question went from how is it possible with mind and senses to understand something beyond mind and senses? And we get some hint here that by use of intelligence, and then the spiritual master acts as the intelligence for the disciples. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So that same question evidently has been asked over and over and over and over and over again. So there's a little section here where so Sukadeva Goswami continues to speak to Parikshit Maharaj, and he says, "My dear king, I will narrate in this regard a nice story. The story is important because it is in connection with Narayan. So Narada approached Narayana Rishi, an incarnation of Krishna, who is still residing in the Himalayas, in Badarik Ashram, which is pretty much always covered with snow, performing austerities. And Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Narada appeared there, and offering his respects to Narayana Rishi, Narada asked him exactly the same question asked by Parikshit Maharaj of Sukadeva Goswami. When Narada asked his question of Narayana Rishi, the Rishi also answered by following in the footsteps of his predecessors. He narrated a story of how the same question had been discussed on the planet known as Janaloka, and Janaloka is above Svargaloka planets like the moon and Venus, etc. In this planet, Janaloka, great sages and saintly persons live, and they were discussing the same point regarding the understanding of Brahman and his real identity. Narada began to speak. Narayana Rishi began to speak. My dear Narada, he said, I will tell you a story which took place long, long ago. There was a great meeting of the denizens of the heavenly planets, and all the important brahmacharis, 4 Kumaras, Sanat, Sanandana, Sanaka, and Sanatana Kumara attended. Their discussion was on the subject matter of understanding the absolute truth, Brahman. You were not present at that meeting because you went to see my expansion Aniruddha, who lives on the island of Svetadweep. But in this meeting, all the great sages and brahmacharis very elaborately discussed the point about which you have asked me, and it was very interesting. The discussion was so delicate that even the Vedas were unable to answer the intricate questions raised. Narayana Rishi told Naradaji that the same question which Naradaji had raised had been discussed in that meeting in Janaloka. This is the way of understanding through parampara, or disciplic succession. Maharaj Parikshit was sent to Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami referred the matter to Narada, who had in the same way questioned Narayana Rishi, who had put the matter to still higher authorities in the planet of Janaloka, where it was discussed among the great Kumaras. Sananda, Sanaka, Kumara, and Sanatana. These 4 brahmacharis are recognized scholars in the Vedas and Shastras. Their unlimited volumes of knowledge, backed by austerities and penances, are exhibited by their sublime, ideal character. They are very amiable and gentle in their behavior, and for them, there is no distinction between friends, well-wishers, and enemies. Being transcendentally situated, such personalities as the Kumaras are above all material considerations and are always neutral in respect to material dualities. In the discussions held among the 4 brothers, one of them, namely Sanandana, was selected to speak, and the other brothers became the audience to hear him. Sanandana said, "After the dissolution of the whole cosmic manifestation, the entire energy and the whole creation in its nucleus form enters into the body of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. The Lord at that time remains asleep for a long, long time. And where there is again necessity of creation, the Vedas personified assemble around the Lord and begin to glorify him, describing his wonderful transcendental pastimes. It is exactly like a king when he is asleep in the morning. The appointed reciters come around his bedroom and begin to sing of his chivalrous activities. And while hearing of his own glorious activities, the king gradually awakens. The Vedic reciters, or the personified Vedas, sing thus." So this is the chapter, Prayers by the Personified Vedas, and somehow in answer to that question, is the Supreme Transcendence impersonal or personal? We're hearing now from the Personified Vedas, their songs, their prayers. They sing, "Oh, unconquerable, you are the Supreme Personality. No one is equal to you or greater than you. No one can be more glorious in his activities. All glories unto you. All glories unto you. By your transcendental nature, you fully possess all 6 opulences. As such, you are able to deliver all conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya. O Lord, we fervently pray that you kindly do so. All the living entities, being your parts and parcels, are naturally joyful, eternal, and full of knowledge, but due to their own faults, they try to imitate you by trying to become the supreme enjoyer. Thus, they disobey your supremacy and become offenders. And because of their offenses, your material energy has taken charge of them. Thus, their transcendental qualities of joyfulness, bliss, and wisdom have been covered by the clouds of the 3 material qualities. This cosmic manifestation, made of the 3 material qualities, is just like a prison house for the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are struggling very hard to escape from material bondage, and according to their different conditions of life, they have been given different types of engagement. But all engagements are based on your knowledge. Pious activities can be executed only when inspired by your mercy. Therefore, without taking shelter at your lotus feet, one cannot surpass the influence of material energy. Actually, we, as personified Vedic knowledge, are always engaged in your service to help the conditioned soul understand you. Ah, Krishna. This prayer of the Vedas personified illustrates that the Vedas are meant for helping the conditioned souls to understand Krishna. All the Shrutis, or personified Vedas, offered glories to the Lord again and again, singing Jai, Jai. This indicates the Lord is praised for his glories. Of all his glories, the most important is his causeless mercy upon the conditioned souls in reclaiming them from the clutches of Maya. Krishna. There are unlimited numbers of living entities in different varieties of bodies, some moving, some standing in one place. And the conditioned life of these living entities is due only to their forgetfulness of their eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the eternal living entity wants to lord it over the material energy by imitating the position of Krishna, he is immediately captured by the material energy, and according to his desire, is offered a variety of 8,400,000 different kinds of bodies. Although undergoing the threefold miseries of material existence, the illusioned living entity falsely thinks himself the master of all he surveys. Under the spell of the material energy, which represents the threefold material qualities, the living entity is so entangled. Krishna. Krishna. You got into a trance state here. Krishna, under the spell of material energy, which represents the threefold material qualities, the living entity is so entangled that it is not at all possible for him to become free unless he is graced by the Supreme Lord. The living entity cannot conquer the influence of the material modes of nature by his own endeavor. But because material nature is working under the control of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is beyond its jurisdiction. Except for him, all living entities, beginning from Brahma down to an ant, are conquered by the contact of material nature. All living entities, from Brahma to an ant, are conquered by contact of material nature. Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya. Don't contact material nature if you can at all help it. Hare Krishna. Chant, chant, chant. We put up this protective shield. Used to be an ad for toothpaste, Colgate's ad. Gardol. Colgate toothpaste with Gardol. They would put up this protective shield and tooth decay couldn't get in. Krishna, have that protective shield. Transcendental personality of Godhead, incarnated in sound. And nothing can get through. Hare Krishna, material. Because he possesses in full the six opulences of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, renunciation, the Lord alone is beyond the spell of material nature. Unless the living entity is situated in Krishna consciousness, he cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, the Lord, by his omnipotency, can dictate from within as the Super Soul. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord advises, whatever you do, do it for me. Whatever you eat, first of all, offer to me. Whatever charity you want to give, first give to me. And whatever austerities and penances you want to perform for me. In this way, the karmis, fruitive workers, are directed to gradually develop Krishna consciousness. Similarly, Krishna directs the philosophers to approach him gradually by discriminating between Brahman and Maya. At last, when one is mature in knowledge, he surrenders unto Krishna. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, after many, many births, the wise philosopher surrenders unto me. The yogis are also directed to concentrate their meditation upon Krishna within the heart, and by such continued process of Krishna consciousness, the yogis can become free from the clutches of material energy. But, as is stated in Bhagavad Gita, because the devotees are engaged in devotional service with love and affection from the very beginning, the Lord directs them so they can approach him without difficulty or deviation. So making a comparison here, the yogis meditate upon the Lord within the heart, and eventually they become free from the clutches of the material energy. But because devotees are engaged in service, hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet, making friends with, carrying out the orders, and giving everything in one's possession for the service of the Lord, because they're engaged in devotional service with love and affection from the very beginning, the Lord directs them so they can approach him without difficulty or deviation. Only by the grace of the Lord can the living entity understand the exact position of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Krishna. Yeah, it's a really detailed chapter. Hare Krishna. Krishna. All right. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Oh, Krishna. It's all about surrendering to Krishna, approaching Krishna, remembering Krishna, offering everything to Krishna. Whatever you do, do it for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where's Krishna? He's in his holy name, and he's in the eternal present. He's eternally present. Hare Krishna. Jai Haribol. It's been rough here. So I'm dealing with something. Kind of creeping ooze. It's very purifying. Hare Krishna.